I'm Douglas Mason, CEO of Naturally Splendid, symbol NSP on the TSX Venture Exchange. Naturally Splendid is a biotechnology and consumer products company focused on the global cannabis and health markets. Naturally Splendid is expanding distribution in this rapidly growing market with products currently in Canada, the USA, South Korea, Germany, and Australia. To view our comprehensive company presentation and for more information, please visit our website at naturallysplendid.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, senior editor for WeissRatings.com. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
The U.S. dollar, is it climbing now again?
Yeah, it is. It's really doing well. This seems to be relief from the hint that we'll have some kind of agreement between the U.S. and China on trade. Though I thought that the trade deal, of course, we never know because we never see any specifics, but I thought the trade deal was supposed to include support for the Chinese currency, the yuan or the renminbi, and which would imply that it would strengthen against the U.S. dollar, because one thing we want to do is make our goods more affordable over in China and their goods more expensive over here. But maybe that isn't going to be in the trade agreement, which is why the U.S. dollar is rallying, because one thing that is for sure is that the trade spat between the U.S. and China has been weighing on our economy. They say people are losing about $3 billion a month just because of the higher prices they have to pay. Companies that have to restructure supply lines, that's more billions and stuff. There's it's a real cost to this trade dispute. So I guess the hopes that it will end is adding a lift to the market, to stocks, and to the U.S. dollar. It's just that since we haven't seen any specifics on what the trade resolution might look like, I actually find that hard to actually price in.
China has downgraded their growth for this year between 6 and 6.5%. Any other nation would kill to get that, but for China, that's considered a slowdown.
Yeah, and they've also upped the amount of fiscal stimulus they are going to do with tax cuts and all sorts of stuff. It shows us really that China is worried about growth. I mean, because this trade dispute is hitting them more than it's hitting us. And so they really want to boost growth all they can. I don't think this is the end of things that China will do to boost its economy. That's one reason we we still have a nice position in a Chinese solar company. We took half gains on it last week for about 76%, but we're still holding the rest, because they're going to build more big projects, including solar projects and like stuff like that. I expect them to buy more copper because they have more infrastructure projects to build out. So that is not a bad thing, actually. But yes, they have lowered their target, and their target is now a range, because their target actually used to be pretty precise before, and they'd always hit it, which is one reason why no one ever believed Chinese numbers, because they were able to hit it spot on all the time. But A, they have lowered it. B, it's a range. And C, all the fiscal stimulus they're adding in now shows that they think they'll need more help actually getting there.
Is there going to be a need in the U.S. to do anything similar, or is the economy still strong enough on its own?
That's a great question. I mean, we are seeing ISM manufacturing indexes around the world go down, and there is some weakness in the U.S., though the U.S. is stronger in comparison to other economies. So there's that. That's good. But like I said, this trade dispute is weighing on the U.S. It's hurting the U.S. consumer. It's hurting companies that have to reorganize their supply lines. It's hurting in many, many ways. So we'll see what comes out of the trade talks. Maybe they'll actually come up with something that actually works. I don't have great hopes. But in the meantime, there are plenty of other things to invest in. I mean, we could talk about cannabis for a bit.
And we will, right after the break.
Okay.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, the marijuana space still pretty bright for you?
Yeah, I mean, the marijuana space is actually looking pretty good. We have some nice open gains on Aurora, which I think is still very undervalued. And that should continue to go higher. We have two other positions in the supercycle investment portfolio that are both up today, you know, so as things go, that area, that industry, I guess we'll call it now, seems to be attracting more money. People are expecting more legalization in the U.S. and perhaps something to happen on the federal level, allowing banks to actually do banking in the cannabis area. Right now, federally insured banks cannot do that. So we'll see. And also in the 2020 election, there have been a bunch of potential candidates who have called for legalization. Donald Trump has not. I will point that out. And he's still the favorite to win. So we'll have to see what happens there. But, you know, it seems things are really rolling on. There's some more excitement being generated. Certainly, you know, we saw that big run-up in, like, August in the marijuana space and then a slow decline into the end of last year. But it's been ramping up great since then. And, you know, I mean, if things take a break right now, people should get some kind of shopping list together. I'm happy with the 3 we own, but I wouldn't mind owning more because we are going to see more activity in this space, not only in the U.S. Canada is going to have a problem meeting demand. That's one thing that they have been saying recently. Now, over time, over the next few years, they'll certainly grow more, and that should meet demand over time. But in the short term, it could be quite a supply crunch, and that won't hurt prices at all. And so that'll be good for those companies. Maybe they'll start making some money.
I didn't see a lot of details, but I saw an announcement. Scientists make cannabis from GMO beer yeast. And just wondering how much of a game, because you wouldn't have to grow, you know, acres of pot. You just have to have a couple of big tanks.
I never even heard that before. Maybe it's true. I did hear about this one research company out in California, and it was growing a whole bunch of like special marijuana. They have special medical marijuana that's actually made individually to suit individual ailments. And so they had special stuff growing there, but a flock of birds landed there, you know, and they ate the entire crop. And it was a flock of terns, and they had no tern left unstoned.
Oh, well.
So I just wanted to give you a joke. You know.
Yeah, I know. You
don't have
it's
to
time
laugh.
for that. We don't have to have that.
Shall we talk about mining after your next break? Because, man, there's some things going on there.
Yes, the PDAC conference is underway in Toronto, and we can discuss the so-called PDAC myth. Or curse. The curse, the myth, the legend. We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the Pink's CYDVF, and on Frankfurt's C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, the Prospectors Developers Conference is underway in Toronto. There's the so-called curse where junior mining stocks go up before the conference and then they go down afterwards. What's your feeling on that? Is it really a curse or a myth or a legend?
Right. Well, I've heard both sides of this argument, and as someone who both invests in this industry and I've attended PDAC, I usually attend every other year. I'm not attending this year. I find it to be true. It's like there is a PDAC curse, but that might have a lot to do with seasonal things as well. The thing about it is that we had a steep sell-off before PDAC, and so maybe the PDAC curse arrived early. So I'm not really sure. I can tell you that it looks like miners are actually rallying here, and gold is at support. I sent you a chart on that, not on the miners on gold, and usually miners lead gold. So this would be a perfect place for a rally here. Now, it doesn't have to rally, and it could turn lower, could fake us all out. But, you have to ask yourself, would you rather buy near the highs or the lows? Gold is at a 5-week low, or it was on Monday. Silver was at a 9-week low. And so if you like to buy the lows and it's at support, then you might want to consider putting some money to work in like some of your favorite precious metal plays. But, you should certainly do your own research as well and not just listen to a guy on the radio. But I like my favorite companies more now at these prices than I did a few weeks ago when I wasn't buying, because, they had run up and I was thinking, well, maybe we could have a pullback. We'll see how things go. And sure enough, we've had this pullback. And so now they're looking much more attractive.
There's problems with the Newmont-Barrick merger, with Newmont turning it down, but they're going to talk some more. How does that affect other gold companies? Well,
I think anyone in the exploration team at Newmont's breathing a sigh of relief, because the first thing Barrick would do if they took over was just fire the entire exploration team at Newmont. I've seen that at multiple gold companies over and over and over again. I don't blame Newmont for wanting a higher price, and it's not so much a merger as a hostile takeover. That's what Barrick is really trying to do. It's trying to grab Newmont at a time when the price of gold is depressed. And a year from now, you might look back and say, that is a great deal. So, a great deal for Barrick. So, I can see why Newmont would say no. One thing I do know is that if Barrick did actually buy Newmont, that would impact future gold production quite a bit, because as these big gold companies have merged, they stop prospecting because they have all the gold that they want for at least the next, 10 years or so. So they don't need to prospect the way that they had been prospecting. So, they, lay everybody off. Now, sometimes what they do, and in fact, I've talked to people who've done this, is they give their exploration teams, as they hand them pink slips, they give them a choice of projects that the big company never really thought it in their in their interest to really go after all guns blazing. So these guys can then maybe take those other projects and turn them into something worthwhile. And so maybe that'll happen. But that again would push, because it takes time to actually develop these projects, that would push those projects further on down. So I think if the merger is successful, it will weigh on gold supply. And so that should push prices higher. But that's in the shorter term anyway. Because once these companies merge, they do economies of scale. And I was just talking to a big miner about this. What they're doing for economies of scale is they are automating like crazy. And automating in ways you wouldn't believe. Now, they don't need drivers for trucks. It's actually much safer to have the trucks drive themselves. And so they have all this stuff going on. That's just one way that they're actually automating, because it's A, much more cost effective, and B, it's actually safer because they have less people at risk, especially in these underground mines. So if the merger does go through, I would expect a wave of like automation, layoffs, stuff like that. Some new companies would spin out, but they'd have to raise cash, and so that would take time and all that stuff. So it would impact gold supply down the road. But we'll just have to see how it plays out. I mean, really, that would make for one massive company, because Barrick bought Randgold not too long ago, which is the huge African miner, and then changed their symbol in the U.S. to GOLD. Now they're trying to buy Newmont. That would just make a massive kingpin company in like the GDX, that would be a huge chunk of that, and like stuff like that. So for the sake of the industry, the best thing to happen would be for the merger not to go through. For the sake of the Barrick shareholders, if they can get Newmont for a song, I wouldn't blame them for wanting to do it. And I don't blame Newmont for fighting it either.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks. I had a great time. And also, just as a parting shot, I just want to say, look at Canadian oil companies right now. Oh. Those that I own are doing very, very well. And I think they will continue to do better. We had some bad news on some pipelines very recently, but that got priced in quickly. And so things could go very well, especially if the trade deal works out between the U.S. and China, because then the U.S. will start exporting more oil to China, and so it will want more Canadian oil. So keep that in mind.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor for WeissRatings.com. If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.